Hello, Michel.
Hello.
My name is Imre Szebik, and I was asked by Agnes Gerib to have some conversation with you. Perhaps I just say a couple of words about myself, just for you to know. I worked a lot with bioethics, and I'm a physician also. And at the moment, I'm a practicing physician. Actually, I work at the psychiatry clinic of Semmelweis University here in Budapest.
So you are a medical doctor?
I'm a medical doctor. I did a lot of educational and research work on bioethics, ethical issues in medicine. So that's why I was also curious to read your book, because you also deal with a lot of ethical issues in that. Then my first question would be a little bit provocative, that do we need obstetricians in healthcare? What do you think?
Yes, it's not a simple question.
Yeah.
I think during a transitory period that will last for how long? As long as we have not realized that one effect of obstetrics is to neutralize the laws of natural selection. So apparently, if we start from that, we can assume that human beings will not survive very long. So we cannot survive very long if you neutralize completely the laws of natural selection, which is a fact. It's like that,
Yeah.
So it's not an opinion. It's obvious that today, a woman who cannot give birth by herself can have the same number of children than a woman who can give birth very, very easily.
Yeah.
The same about fecundation. Very fertile people don't have more children than those who are not really fertile. I simplify. So we have neutralized the laws of natural selection. So any good mathematician can calculate how long human being can still survive.
Yeah.
And apparently it cannot be very long. If we start from that, if we consider that the most important issue at the present time, when we think of human beings, is the fact that we have neutralized the laws of natural selection, obviously we cannot imagine that Homo can survive very long. I don't know if it's term of century, millennia, tens of millennia, I don't know. But if we go on like that, we have to start from that. So your question is, do we need obstetricians?
Yeah.
It's not a provocative question, it's a very important question. At the present time, apparently, we need obstetricians. We cannot, when a woman cannot give birth by herself, because we can do easily a cesarean section, because C-section has become an easy, fast, safe operation, we have to rescue the baby. We cannot change that. It's impossible. Impossible to. So at the present time, we need obstetricians, or we need doctors involved in childbirth. I say that I correct obstetrician because personally, originally, I am not an obstetrician. Although during many years, I've been in charge of 1,000 births a year, the only doctor in charge of 1,000 births a year in a hospital. Originally, I'm not an obstetrician. I'm a surgeon, educated in the 1950s, at the time when they used to ask the surgeon to do cesarean section with a new technique. So at the present time, we need obstetricians because we have wonderful rescue operation. We can use pharmacological assistance. We cannot change that overnight. So, but humanity probably cannot survive very long. That's what we can say. But however, we never know. There are some mysterious facts about human beings. And one fact is that it happens that occasionally at the level of at a global level, a new awareness is emerging. And suddenly we change our way of thinking, we change everything. We don't know, but perhaps it's not absolutely utopic that one day we realize that we cannot survive if we go on neutralizing laws of natural selection. It will be a real revolution in our way of thinking. Can it happen? Can we reverse the current tendencies? That is to say, can we desocialize childbirth? Because if we are in this situation today, it's what's happening after 10,000 of years of socialized birth. What is special about birth today? It's socialized. Before the Neolithic revolution, the domination of nature by our ancestors, before the domination of plants, agriculture, domination of animals, animal husbandry, human beings were not dominated, socialized as they are now. Before the Neolithic revolution, in Paleolithic ages, we have sufficient amount of documents to say women used to isolate themselves to give birth. It means there have been hundreds of thousands of years of natural selection. And it's interesting that those who could still, in the middle of the 20th century, study human groups that have kept a Paleolithic lifestyle until that time, those who studied such human groups, and who tell about childbirth, women isolating themselves to give birth, they say a lot about babies dying in early infancy, about diseases, accidents, and so on. They have almost nothing to say about death in a perinatal period. They don't say almost anything. It's not a topic for them. So we can assume that before the domination of nature, before the laws of natural selection have been neutralized, human birth were not dangerous. We have to realize that probably all that is probable. I give importance, for example, to the work of Daniel Everett, who was a linguist studying the language. I don't know if you know his name.
I read in the book,
Yes. He said, for example, that there is no word in that language for different things. And apparently, he heard one case of maternal death, but he was not there. It has been reported, and he spent several decades in this group. And the same with Marin Shostak in South Africa, Lucio Fanofel in Philippines, people who could study human groups that kept a Paleolithic lifestyle until the 20th century. Apparently, births were not dangerous and probably easy and fast. Women were just isolating themselves. So the turning point, we have to understand the turning point was domination of nature, socialization of childbirth, more and socialized until the ultimate phase, masculinization of the environment and medicalization. And we have reached, and we are at the edge of the precipice. We have reached the limit. So now the point is, can humanity survive obstetrics? So my question is related to your question. It's a very important use. I don't want to skip it.
My only argument or concern would be that probably, the child, the neonatal and maternal mortality rates were probably still higher in those times. So, but maybe
very low, very low.
You mean they were as low as they are today in the industrialized world?
Much lower. When you look at what, for example, Daniel Everett, who spent decades among the Piraha, has to say, he talked about accident in early infancy, childbirth. He talked about death from diseases, but he does not talk anything about death in a perinatal period. After thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands years of natural selection, apparently birth became difficult with the Neolithic revolution. This is indicated in what might be the biggest library about the effect of the Neolithic revolution, domination of nature. The most useful document is well known, is the Bible.
Yeah.
The Old Testament. It's a library about the domination of nature, the new lifestyle, and so on. And what do you find? From the very first beginning of this big book, you'll read in a negative way that about the consumption of the fruit of the tree of knowledge.
Yeah.
To know too much in some situation can have negative effect. And in the same page, people have not noticed that until now, that you read that women now are condemned to have difficult birth. So they have understood everything.
Yeah, it's the penalty of God.
The dangers of knowing too much of a active neocortex, that's what makes birth difficult. So it's probable that nature had already found solution to make human birth possible and even easy, but that has been true until the socialization of childbirth. The more socialized was the birth, the more dangerous it becomes, the more difficult, and so on. So we have reached the limit. We have a solution today.
Yeah.
Transitory solution that can last during a short time, perhaps 10,000 of years, it's short, something like that. But we neutralize the laws of natural selection. Impossible for mankind to survive for a long time to the elimination of this law. That at the present time should be the most important issue when considering the future of human beings. We have neutralized the laws of natural selection. We focus on the effect of human activities, important, weather, plastics in the ocean, and so on. We focus on the effect of human activities, but we have to realize, to think of the evolution of Homo. Yeah. People who studied evolution study the past. And people who, futurologists who study the future, are not interested in the future of Homo. So we miss the most important question today. What are the effects in our species of neutralizing the laws of natural selection? This is the big issue of our time.
You have a long discussion on this issue also in your book, and if I understand you correctly, then males should be eliminated from the birth process. Is that right? So we should...
I don't say that like that, but it's sure that we have to consider what kind of person can have a positive effect or on the opposite. Yeah. In fact, when a woman is giving birth, according to modern physiology, what she needs first is to feel secure, to feel safe. If she's releasing adrenaline, the hormone we release when we are scared, we cannot release oxytocin, there is antagonism. So the question is, when you understand that, what is the prototype of the person with whom a woman giving birth can feel secure. Ideally, if there is one person that probably does not disturb too much the birth process, she's a mother figure, and that originally the midwife. The midwife originally is a mother figure, the prototype of the person. So there have been a tendency to add many people, other people, to introduce. The man came very late in the history of childbirth.
Yeah.
Often there was nobody around apart from an experienced midwife sitting in a corner, low profile, and knitting.
Yeah.
Knitting a repetitive task. We know today it means low level of adrenaline. So the point was to disturb as little as possible. So it's only in the 1970s, I can talk about this turning point, that some women wanted to keep their husband, when the driver of the car, keep their husband when arriving in the maternity unit.
Yeah.
Midwife around the 70s, when suddenly they had in this new situation, they were calling me at 2 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock. What can I do? A woman is arriving in labor. She has a strange idea. She wants to keep her husband with her. Many questions have not been raised. It's a big issue.
Yeah, it just popped into my mind because you write in your book that there are research data that this fetal expulsion reflex disappears.
Ejection reflex.
Or reflex. It disappears when males are present.
It disappears with the socialized birth.
Yeah.
But particularly, of course, is the extreme form of socialization when there is a man. I know about fetus ejection reflex, a useful term to understand sperm ejection reflex, milk ejection reflex. But I understand that because I'm able to hide myself when women give birth.
They
don't know I'm there. So that, for example, I'm not far away in a home birth. There are women who have given birth at home without knowing that I was in the house. They were with a mother figure, a midwife, a doula, a mother figure. They didn't know that the midwife or the doula could feel safer if I was there. But the woman labor didn't know that. So that's why I understand the fetus ejection reflex, because I hide myself overnight, But it happens till now, typically in such a situation that a laboring woman in a small birthing place, dark, warm, with a midwife just behind her, sitting in a corner, knitting. It happened that suddenly a woman was rather passive in labor. Suddenly, she changing gear, puff, knit, full of energy. She doesn't need to push. 2 or 3 powerful, irresistible contractions, no room for involuntary process, and baby is born. So that fetus ejection reflex. We can see a typical fetus ejection reflex in a film made by Wolf-Schifferhofen among the APOs, a group that has kept its Paleolithic characteristic until 20th century, and with a camera, telecamera, he could film women giving birth. A woman going to the bush, with her own mother, who's helping her to prepare the place. But then, when baby is ready to come, the mother of the one giving birth is leaving the place. The woman is by herself when she's by herself. And in this one of his films, you can see a typical fetus ejection reflex. So this is what we cannot, very few people can understand today after 10,000 of years of socialized birth. The point today is to realize that human births have been socialized. We should not focus on medicalization, on the man or women, camera and so on. The birth is socialized, that's the issue. And when you socialize, all the aspects of socialization, language, feeling observed, light, and so on, stimulate the neocortex. And the point among human beings is that what makes human birth possible is to eliminate the neocortical control. That's what the key neocortical inhibition is what makes human birth difficult. Until recently, people were only considering mechanical factors. Human births are difficult for mechanical reasons, shape of the. No, there are women who can give birth very easily, quickly. You know why? So we overestimate the importance of mechanical, morphological factor. We forget what is special to human beings. It's a huge, powerful neocortex that can inhibit some physiological functions, like olfaction, like giving birth, some reflexes, like archaic reflexes, including swimming reflexes. Human beings have to learn a technique to be able to swim because of their powerful neocortex and so on. So now we're reaching a time when the concept of neocortical inhibition is becoming a key to understanding human nature in general and some physiological functions, such as giving birth and others in particular. We are at a turning point in our understanding of human nature. If the point of departure is what makes human being special, what makes human being special, it's a powerful neocortex. It's apparently simple. So that's why perhaps in the future, to go back to your question, we'll reach a kind of degree of awareness and we find a way. I wrote about that in text called Childbirth in the Land of Utopia. We find a way, perhaps, to a certain extent, to slow down the effect of neutralized laws of natural selection. That's the point, how to slow down this process. That would be the big issue for human beings at the present time. Is it possible to reach such a new awareness that we should try to moderate the effect of neutralized laws of natural selection? The rest are detailed secondary issues.
So, because we put a great emphasis on informing women, pregnant women, for example, before labor, and also giving them as much help and support as possible, and then as much information as possible, etc. So you think it's all superfluous? We should eliminate those.
When a woman is giving birth, she must forget everything.
Yeah. So that's why
I mean, to forget everything if we shouldn't too much. And if it was, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so that's why that has not been understood by people who promote what they call natural childbirth.
Yeah.
They wanted to inform women, start of psychoprophylaxis in France, coming from Russia and so on. They wanted to prepare women to give birth with information, knowledge, understanding.
That's why I'm asking this question. Yeah, exactly.
The opposite. The point is that it's dangerous to know too much.
And what would be your advice for Hungarian, or I would say women in general, pregnant women, to how can they change? Because as I guess you know that the situation in Hungary is not quite perfect. So we have 40% of all deliveries are C-sections, which is of course very high. So and if I look at the situation what we have in Hungary, and if I look at your ideas or your utopia, what you describe as could be an ideal situation of birth. So what do you think we could do to go on this way?
Yes, I might say that at the present time, we must explain people that we are introducing global issues. It's global. Nothing very special about Hungary. 40% C-section is less than in mainland China, is less than in Thailand, is less than in most Latin American countries.
Yeah, but still.
Donc,
Yeah.
It's not special, not at all special to Hungary. So first point. So the issues are global. But about what we can say that those who have reached a certain degree of awareness, I'm sure it's your case, have a duty, is to participate in the initiation of a cultural new awareness. And you wonder, what can I do? So it depends upon your position in the society, of course, but a doctor can do more, perhaps, than a woman who's selling flowers on the corner. What can I do? And of course, as a medical doctor, you have a certain power that others don't have. You can communicate with colleagues, but whatever your position, everybody can do something. And you can try to transmit in a fast way, where childbirth is concerned, to transmit what is essential. For example, it doesn't take long to explain that to give birth, you need to release the timid, the shy hormone. You say, you have to release, to give birth, oxytocin. Oxytocin, the main hormone in childbirth, is shy, timid. It does not appear. If there are people around, it's more difficult, particularly strangers, people that are not known. Oxytocin is a shy hormone. Just say things like that, and you can help people. Whatever the context. For example, because after my hospital career, I've been involved in home birth. When visiting a house, a family, before the birth, they wanted me to visit the bedroom, the kitchen. I was doing as if I was only interested in the toilet. And I tried to find a way to tell the baby's father, who wanted to bring me elsewhere, that, here's the toilet. It's so important, so important. When your wife is in labor, if she goes to the toilet and close the door by herself, that's the time when probably the labor will progress very quickly, very easily, more quickly. And so that's why it's a very important place. So just I say that, that everybody can do something. The point is to assimilate, is to understand in deep way the concepts, the essential concept of neocortical inhibition, a key to understanding human nature in general and some physiological processes such as parturition in particular.
Yeah. It's okay. That's an advice for me. But what would you advise for women actually who are planning to have childbirth?
But it's cultural.
Yeah.
At the present time, it's an important issue because often when I give public lecture, for the general public, with the word birth in the title, 99% of the participants are women.
Yeah.
And I always say, but we are talking about the future of mankind. It's not just a female issue. Why would it be just a female issue? Men are born as well, and so on. So it's an important question that you are raising. The point is we have to reach or to try to be in touch with our cultural milieu. And our cultural milieu today, it's a global milieu. Now, that's why I started this question by saying nothing special to Hungary,
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. It's global. It's global.
Yeah.
We reach a new awareness at a global level. Survival of mankind is a global issue. So at the present time, we are focusing on special issues, Ukraine, Russia, climate. But let's think of what is serious. Neutralizing the laws of natural selection first. How long can mankind survive? That's all. That's the big questions.
I understand your point that it's not only the gene pool that is actually affected by the reproductive technologies, but also the overall health of mankind due to the failures of birth, as you describe in your book, that we have more obese patients, more autistic patients, more asthma patients, etc., due to the low quality of birth, if I may say so. So that's a serious concern. I understand that, but it's easier to have questions than answers for this. In this case, because I think it's very difficult to judge the overall effect on humanity, because what we do in the first world is not right in poor countries, because they don't have effective healthcare. So, but they actually have a much higher fertility rate. So that may also affect the overall gene pool. So yeah, that's a complicated issue.
Of course, there are transfusion of genetic material is essential, important, but there are other factors that are transmitted from generation to generation, as we understand. But what is transmitted through genetic factors is important, essential, more than we think. For example, why a baby is at term is in a breech presentation. At first, why? Today we know, that's really from Norwegian studies, that in fact the genetic factors transmitted by the father or the mother are essential. That's why the number, the ratio, the proportion of babies coming head first is higher than the presence of babies coming buttock first, because buttock first is more dangerous, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
It was like that until now. It was never more than 3% breech birth for genetic reason. Today, with cesarean section, it's equal. And already the proportion of babies presenting themselves with buttock first or feet first is increasing, neutralizing the law of natural selection, cesarean section. So another example is, until now, most of us are Rh positive, because Rh negative women, statistically speaking, could not have the same number of healthy children than Rh positive women. But today, with anti-D agglutinin, it's not true anymore. So we can, if we start from that, we can say, but soon all human beings will be dependent on medicine from the beginning.
Yeah.
C-section, breech, for some reason. It will be difficult to become a minister of health. The budget of health will increase. So we have to realize that without entering details. But it's just fact. It's like that. I don't provide opinions.
Yeah, I understand that. So the RH issue is a great example for that, because could we say that mothers, okay, you are RH negative, and if your baby is positive, then we don't provide the immune, the shot for you, and then don't give birth next time. So don't have a.
Well, we cannot do that.
We cannot do that. Yeah, but so that this seems to be a trap here. That
we cannot
okay.
do that. That what we are doing is just saying there are new questions we have to raise.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but we cannot go further. That between us, because I know that you will not repeat what we said together.
Yeah,
it's confidential. That we neutralize the laws of natural selection. It's confidential. Don't repeat it. People are not aware of that. It's a fact.
But
fact we need to hide.
But
it's ironic.
I understand that. So, but that's also a concern, because we can be, of course, ionic, but I see the danger of being dependent on medicine. On the other hand, also we have a duty to help others who are in need. So as a doctors, and if we can do by neutralizing the law of natural selection, as you describe it, then I see that there is a contradiction here. That okay, sometimes I have the duty to do that, otherwise I cannot help. So thank you very much for your interesting thoughts, and also for the conversation.
I was pleased to speak with a medical doctor